Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Happy National Championship Monday, everybody. Our final college football game is finally here tonight at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Ohio State, Notre Dame. We'll get you all of the information, current line, trends, and of course, some player prop bets. This is Sports by the Book, sports betting show, trying to keep you updated with all of the latest and give you our take with our power ratings 7 days a week in the mornings, 9 a.m., and Saturdays at 8 or 8:30 a.m. So make sure you check those times. Today, Football Frenzy, 3 p.m. with Jeff Parles and Ryan McCormick. It'll be our last Monday Football Frenzy. They will be on from 3 to 4 to get you ready for Ohio State, Notre Dame, so you don't want to miss that one. All right, it was a big weekend in the NFL. We are down to 4 teams. Our conference championship games are set. The Bills will go to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, and the Washington Commanders, with the biggest upset over the Detroit Lions, will now go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. So really pretty exciting games this weekend, especially yesterday. I think we had the 2 most competitive yesterday with the Rams and the Eagles and the Bills and the Ravens. What was your overall take? I guess I should introduce who I am talking to. I'm Alex White, alongside professional sports bettor Kenny White. What was your overall take from this past weekend?
Hey, Alex. Good morning. It was good competitive games. And again, it goes back to turnovers in all these games, in football. And the coaches know it. Take care of the football. If you take care of the football, you got a good chance to win the game. And Detroit, turnover after turnover in that football game. Washington, no turnovers. And who would have expected that? No one. There was, a Washington Commander fan would say, yeah, we'll win the turnover battle. But rightfully, Detroit is supposed to win the turnover battle, at least by 1. They didn't. Jared Goff didn't take care of the football. It was very interesting listening to Tom Brady. I love listening to Romo. You want to listen to somebody who's very intelligent about the game because you learn things. Right. And I hope I learned a couple things that Washington's offense can't be stopped right now. That's what Tom Brady said. You can't stop this offense. And it looked like it. Detroit could not stop them. And Detroit was starting to get healthier on defense. And they had a great year, and they blitz. But Jaden Daniels was able to read the defenses. And then the other game, you saw the turnovers in yesterday's games. So we will update our numbers. We'll go through NFL tomorrow with those 2 games and give a full breakdown on those. I am curious, though, because I wonder if this has happened before. All 4 teams that won were actually outgained in yards. All 4 of them. Wow. So, like you said, though, turnovers. And that's that was a huge part of this weekend. We even saw it with Baltimore and Buffalo as well. Really bad turnovers there. Feel bad for a guy like Mark Andrews. I think he had 4 drops all year. 4 the entire year. And 2 were yesterday. And then he has the fumble that, it got punched out, and, things happen like that. Lamar, the ball slipped out of his hand, picked up and run into great position. You play that game next week. Baltimore could win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think it was John Gruden that said for Mark Andrews, though, he did feel for him as well. And the fact that they were down a wide receiver in Zay Flowers, and, Mark Andrews was playing so many snaps, and they were utilizing him so much. And he said he's honestly probably just tired at that point, and they should have relied on Derrick Henry more towards the end of the game in situations like that. But
the Eagles are lucky to be where they're at. The Rams are coming flying down the field. They flew down the field, scored a touchdown like nothing. I thought, oh boy.
Yep.
This defense is getting gassed. The offense has to get a first down here. They didn't do it. They punt. The Rams get the ball, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. The Rams got a shot to go down and win this football game. And I thought the Philadelphia Eagle coach should have called a timeout at one point when the Rams made a big play. Puka Nacua caught one around the 21-yard line. And I thought maybe he should have called a timeout at that point to just give his defense a breather. But he got lucky. Yeah. The Rams had a movement penalty that moved them back 5 yards. And that gave the Eagles a chance to sub in a player for one of the most tired guys on the field. And they end up getting the sack and then win the game. But, wow, that was close.
Very interesting. So the Eagles and Commanders have already played each other twice this year, split those in the regular season, both coming from the NFC East. But you were talking about this on your show, Bet the Gambit, and Commanders did win that last game. But remember, that's the game that Jalen Hurts got concussed early. So that is their last loss, the Eagles. And, man, I mean, they have so many wins surrounding that. I mean, they were on a crazy run since their bye week in week 5 and then lost to the Commanders and now have not lost since. But, I mean, pretty fortunate to get by the Packers and now the Rams, and we'll see if they're more prepared for this one because it looks like the Commanders are peaking at the right time.
They won 7 straight. I think they have the longest winning streak going right now of anybody. And if Tom Brady's right and they can't be stopped, this is going to be a very high-scoring game. The last game was 36-33. Without Hurts, Kenny Pickett did a good job. We don't know what Hurts's injuries are either, how the knee is. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about at one point, I'm working and listening, and they said, well, it looks like Hurts, the only thing he can do is hand off. I'm thinking, well, what's wrong with his arm? But I don't think he has an arm injury. So that's the Eagles. If he's healthy, they've got a great offense, and so does Washington. And like I said, if Tom Brady's right, because Brady was acting like they should have never lost a game, how good that offense is. You just can't stop them. And they looked unstoppable. Detroit couldn't stop them. That's for sure. So
they're just so good on fourth down. You know that they are better on fourth down right now than Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were with the tush push, and when the league was actually contemplating getting rid of that because they were so effective. And now Washington is that effective on fourth down. So it's kind of hard to handicap.
They're doing it the right way. Cliff Kingsbury did not make it as a head coach. I never thought he was a great head coach. Never thought he should have gotten an NFL job as a head coach. But after, being back to a coordinator, he should probably be one of the hottest guys in the market. I would now go after Cliff Kingsbury. The Raiders should go get Cliff Kingsbury and sign him as their head coach because he has done a tremendous job with that offense with a rookie quarterback. Jaden Daniels is a special quarterback. He really is a great quarterback, but he's still a rookie. Yeah. And it's amazing that they're putting up these type of numbers.
Last takeaway from this weekend and from the NFL, but I do find this very interesting. With the Lions losing and the Ravens losing, we don't have any team from the North divisions on either side. When you started the year and you asked people what's the best division, it was an argument between the AFC North and the NFC North. And we saw it. I mean, we had 3 teams in the playoffs from the NFC North. In the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. All 3 of them are now out. And then same thing. I mean, we had Pittsburgh and the Ravens on the other side in the AFC, and now both of them are out. So very interesting. I guess there is more parity than we think.
Oh no, I've always, and I talk about it all the time, there's not a big difference from the top of the league to the bottom of the league in the NFL. The bad teams still have a ton of talent.
Yeah. I mean, professional athletes.
Yeah, these are all-star teams, basically. They're just the best of the best. It's just putting them together and making plays and having them well prepared. There is a difference in talent, but it's not a drastic difference.
So currently right now, the Chiefs, a 1.5 favorite at home. That total has been bet down. Now it is at 48 here at the South Point, and the Eagles are a 5-point favorite over the Commanders. Probably very happy that they get to host a game now and do not have to go to Detroit, but that total is also 48. But speaking of good seasons, let's go on and move to college football here with Notre Dame and Ohio State. Ohio State just 2 losses on the year. They lost by 1 point to Oregon pretty early in the season, and then they lost by 3 to Michigan. And on the other side, Notre Dame just 1 loss on the season in week 2 with that huge upset against Northern Illinois. So should be a pretty good game here. This point spread is telling you could get out of hand. Ohio State a 9-point favorite in this one, and the total 45.5. I know you're not big on overreacting. You go more off of the whole season. Now that you've had more time, are you still leaning to the dog here and Notre Dame keeping this game close?
Well, I made the game 7, and that's not taking anything off the favorite. If I took off 20%, I would say Ohio State 5.5, which I would lean to Notre Dame. I haven't bet the games. I'm worried about one thing that you told me is Ryan Day and Chip Kelly stayed vanilla all year and said, hey, we know we're great. We're just going to play around with everybody and not show them a thing until we have to. And when I look at the performance rating for Ohio State, since you said that, when they lost to Michigan, they came up with a 146 versus Tennessee, a 153 versus Oregon, and a 138 versus Texas. No one in the country has come close to those numbers anywhere near that. If I used their median and said they were a 146, they're easily 2 touchdowns better than Notre Dame is. Now, Notre Dame, in their last 3 games, Indiana, they performed to a 124, Georgia, 125, and Penn State, a 130. So they've performed well, and on the year, in their big games, 126.5, but Ohio State, in their biggest games, 138. So that's such a big difference. My total says over. My total says high-scoring game. That means Ohio State's they're going to have to get it done offensively. They're the better offense. They have median points this year, every game, 38 points.
Very impressive what we have seen. And they have had the toughest path to get here, right? You just brought up the 3 teams that they've had to play in Tennessee and Oregon and then Texas. And I mean, Notre Dame, pretty tough schedule, but I mean, they didn't have Carson Beck for Georgia in that matchup, and it was still a pretty close game. And then Penn State just fell short there, but Notre Dame kind of barely got that win.
They're playing close games where Ohio State's playing blowouts. Other than the Texas game, Texas is trying to tie the game first and goal at the 1, and they don't get it done. But they won the yardage, and they outplayed Texas all day. It should have never been as close as it was. So I love the way they're playing, but again, I'm not going to have a knee-jerk reaction and over-adjust their rating. My lean to Notre Dame, I'm not going to bet them. They scare me with some injuries they've had. They've had a couple of defensive players out. They've had a couple of guys off the offensive line. Now, I have individual player ratings on these guys. So the offensive line, it's only 0.5 point. And I've already factored that in. And the defensive line, it was a point.
Wow.
Their best player on the defensive line is out. And they saw, they kept showing him in the last game against Penn State, him sitting on the bench. That was their biggest loss. And that's figured in the line already. I've already got that figured in. So, we'll see what we get. I'm hoping that Notre Dame can put points on the board. I'm just betting it over. And I hate betting overs, especially in this big of a game. But you know what? Ohio State knows how to score. They've already shown that 42, 41, 28, 38 against Indiana. They can score.
I don't want to go against you, but I already made this bet on Saturday, and I did do Notre Dame team total under 17.5. I was just nervous it would move lower, and I wanted that 17 and the hook there. So if Notre Dame can get 17 and Ohio State get the rest, that would be good for both of us there. I'm just worried about Notre Dame because they've relied on their run game all year long, and Ohio State has the best run defense that we have seen in a while. Actually, on PFF, they say that Ohio State's run defense is the best since 2019 when it featured Chase Young and several other NFL prospects. The Buckeyes defense allows just 3.9 yards per carry, less than 1 yard per carry, and has missed just 13% of its tackle attempts on run defense. So they will be ready. And Riley Leonard, we haven't seen him throw the ball all that much, but you have his median, so we can talk about that as well. And if they will have to make some adjustments, they're going to try and get Jeremiah Love going, their best running back, and we can talk about their props as well and see if we like anything there. But so tough for them to get their run game going. And then on the other side, Notre Dame, another talking point, Notre Dame plays the most man coverage of any FBS school, and Ohio State will gladly try and play one-on-one with their NFL prospect wide receivers.
Yeah, they have a stable of wide receivers. I think that's the difference in this game. When you look at the wide receiver props, the top three guys are Ohio State guys. So the top three wide receivers in the game are all on one team. That makes it pretty tough. Now, Notre Dame's got a solid tight end, and Jaden Greathouse has come on late in the season. He's a good athlete. He made a lot of big plays against Penn State. So when we go through these props, you could change your mind, or I could change my mind on which way I want to go in this game. And again, I say it all the time. There's a process to sports betting. You make your numbers, and then you compare to the line and you bet. Every once in a while, you have a feel for how the game's going to go, and you may not trust your numbers, and you may go the other way. I bet Detroit this weekend because I just felt like Detroit was going to win this game. They were going to win at home. It was their year. 15-2, greatest season, and they have a really good football team, and they were getting healthier on defense. I just didn't think Washington's defense could stop them. Well, they didn't. Detroit stopped themselves and lost. In this game, my thought process, and it's always so much easier to make a case for the favorite. Yes. When you watch any talk show talking sports, and I've watched every one of them, and every single one, the people who are talking about the games and trying to give picks are giving favorite, over, because it's so much easier to make a case for those. To make a case for the underdog is extremely difficult to do. To make a case for unders is hard to do. Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. They are the underdog for a reason, so you got to find the best quality traits about this team and propose your case that they can hang around and cover, if not win outright.
Yeah. It just scares me when I do look at my numbers, and I told you those performance ratings for Ohio State. Everybody comes up with a 135 or 140 every once in a while. But to do 3 straight games, 146, 153, 138, this team is dominating right now. Notre Dame's just playing to their level. They did play I should go back. Against Army, they were a 137, 128 against Southern Cal, 124, 125, 130. So their median is a 128 over the last 5. That's not bad. 128 over the last 5. Ohio State's a 138 over the last 5. So Ohio State has played 10 points better than Notre Dame. But as anyone will tell you, on any given day, anything could happen. Ohio State could turn the ball over 3 times in this game.
Right.
And Notre Dame wins easily by 2 touchdowns.
And Notre Dame is very good at creating those turnovers. So if you were going to make a case for the Fighting Irish, that would definitely be one of them.
11 straight spread covers. I just noticed that. Notre Dame covers every game. 13-2 ATS this year. They're dancing around South Bend. Everybody's got money. They're all at this game. Ohio State 6-2 ATS their last 8. They're doing pretty good in Columbus, too. Well, you want to talk some props?
Yes, because we do have a full sheet here at the South Point of prop bets, so we'll go through these. There's also a couple on the back. I love these ones. Margin of victory. We always see that for the Super Bowl, and now you can join in and do it for college football playoffs as well. So if you like Ohio State, you want to go for them winning big, 25 to 30 points, you can get 10-1. Notre Dame with an upset winning between 7 and 12 is also 10-1. So come down here, check out these. And then also player to score the first touchdown, of course. So looking down the list, is Jeremiah Smith the favorite, 5-1? Looks like he is, huh?
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith at 5-1. Judkins, big back for Ohio State, 6-1. Henderson, 7-1. And Emeka Egbuka, 7-1.
Yeah. Jeremiah Smith, just a freshman, has had an outstanding year, but
yes.
Everybody's talking about him. Nobody's really talking about Emeka, and he is probably going very early in the draft. So very good wide receiver there as well.
I think Jeremiah Love, who was a little banged up last game, but played, and he had a couple of big plays with this extra time. He might be really ready for this game, and he's a really good player at 8-1. Notre Dame could surprise you. If they're going to, the first drive of the game, sometimes you're not completely ready or you're over fired up. You're not thinking the way you should, and you make a mistake on your assignment, and Notre Dame, gets down the field and they punch one in. It could be Jeremiah Love at 8-1.
I don't mind Henderson here, Ohio State side, either at 7-1. Of course, he is the running back that made that huge play to have a 14-7 lead going into half against Texas.
He had a big run. He's had some really big plays. That might have been a reception.
It was, actually, yes. So he can do it all.
Well, quarterbacks, I'll read you what I've come up with on the median stats. I'll do the top 5 teams. Now, Will Howard's going to throw the ball more. And I was really shocked to see because, I heard everybody was complaining about how conservative Ohio State was against Michigan. They threw 33 passes in the game still. It's not like they threw 12 passes or something. They threw the ball 33 times. He only throws it 26 times per game on the year. Against the better teams, though, Will Howard, 31 attempts, 21 for 31, 289 yards. He put up big yardage against the last 3 games. Will Howard, 311, 319, and 289.
Wow.
He's putting up numbers.
Passing yards is 242.5.
Yeah. I like it over. Again, you should marry your props to the way you like the game. I think it's an over game, and Will Howard can throw the football, and he's got great weapons, and they can run it. So they're multidimensional. You can't set up. Yesterday was one of the best bets ever on Saturday. Kelsey over. Mm-hmm. When you looked at Kelsey's numbers, the big thing about why it was such a good bet is Hollywood Brown came back for the Kansas City Chiefs and played the last 2 games of the regular season. You got Hopkins on one side, Hollywood Brown on the other side, and you got the young kid, can't think of his name for Kansas. Xavier Worthy. You've got 3 really good wide receivers. You have to pay attention to them now.
Yep.
Those are the guys that can go 80 yards. Kelsey's not going 80 yards. So you're gonna put your best guys on those, and now Kelsey's wide open over the middle all day long, and he was 7 for 100 and some yards and a touchdown. This game reminds me of the same thing with so many weapons. Notre Dame can't guard all the weapons. They just can't do it. So 289 yards is what Will Howard has done. I like that prop over.
I will just say really quick on that note with the Chiefs, Hopkins and Brown only had 3 combined targets.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Me too. Their offense is still not quite there yet, but don't count the Chiefs out. So yeah, you like Will Howard over his passing yards. There's also a touchdown passes thrown, 1.5 over is juice though, -140.
He's thrown 2 or more in 4 of the 5 games. The only game he didn't was Texas. So through 3 against Oregon, through 3 against Tennessee, who I'm not even using that game in the calculation because it was a home game. But that was a really good football team and a really good defense they played. I think Tennessee's defense is as good as Notre Dame. So he threw 3 or 2 that game. So 5 out of 6 games, he threw 2. Almost every game this year, he threw almost 2. It was only 1, 2, 3 games. He threw 2 touchdowns or more in 12 of 15 games.
Wow. So minus 140 is not a bad price for that.
And in those type of situations, I don't lay the 140. I'll just bet a flat unit to win. That will bring back like $71 on 100.
Right. I will just bring up Notre Dame is second in passing yards allowed at an average of 165.2. But if you look at their schedule, I mean, they haven't really played a whole lot of quarterbacks like Will Howard, right? I mean, they've got Army and Navy, Florida State, who is such a struggle offensively. They did have USC. Let's see how he threw against them. And it was Jaden Mayava at that time. 360. Right.
He did. He threw for 360 yards.
Yep, and 3 touchdowns and 2 INTs that were both pick 6, I believe.
Yes, they were. And that's why Notre Dame's probably here, because of that game right there. I thought they were going to lose. I bet USC that day and lost the bet because I think USC is a really good football team. But there shows you, when you look down their list, they did not play any good quarterbacks all year until Jordan Maivea. So, I like it over. 2 touchdowns. He will throw a pick. Will Howard will make a mistake. He did throw a pick in 4 of the 6 toughest games that he played. He only threw 2 picks. The Michigan game, he threw 2 picks in that game. I think Howard will throw a pick. He does.
I don't know if we have that one on here. Do you want to go to Trevion Henderson? His rushing yards per game? Sure.
Henderson he's pretty consistent. Overall in the season, he doesn't get a lot of touches. 10 rushing attempts for 68 yards. Against the top 5 teams, 8 for 69.
Wow.
He got as many yards, but no touchdowns. No touchdowns. He scored quite a few touchdowns this year. And when he scores twice. He scored a touchdown in 6 games this year. 4 of those games, he had 2 touchdowns. Receiving, he's going to get 2 receptions for 20 yards. That's what he does. However, when you look at his numbers, and I look at his numbers, he did much, much more towards the end of the season in receiving yards. So we'll look at the last 4 games. He had 25, 54, 20, and 75. I take a median of that. It's about 40 yards a game. I'm gonna say he goes over his receiving yards because that's what he's trending at.
And his rushing yards here is 58.5. So that would be, I mean, you said 68.5 for the year and even more against the toughest teams for rushing yards as well.
Yeah, and I left out the Tennessee game where he went 10 for 80. I didn't use that because it was a home game. I like to use the away games, and that's what I used in all of these players. Do you have receiving yards for Henderson?
I don't have receiving for him.
All right, well, everybody will have to look that up, but I think his number should be about 40 in receiving yards, and I think he's about 68. We'll see how Notre Dame's defense handles the two-headed monster because Judkins, he gets it a little bit more, 12 carries per game on the year, 11 against the best team. So he gets it about 3 times more per game than Henderson gets, and they try to split it up. 54 yards he had this year per game against the best teams. That's Judkins, 54 rushing yards.
Judkins. I wonder if that is because they started utilizing Henderson more in the passing game, and then that
it could be.
Judkins went up in the carries.
Yeah, Judkins, even over the last 5 games, Judkins is still getting more carries. But Judkins has 2 receptions per game as well against the best competition for 17 yards. But Henderson has been more active in the passing game the last 5-6 weeks than Judkins has. So that's why I would look to go over with him.
And that is why I'm still intrigued by that 7-1 for him to score the first touchdown as well.
Henderson? Yeah, I guess so. You're right, because he could do it through the air or he has scored a touchdown in 4 of the last 5 games. That's big.
On the sheet, though, they do have a nice plus price here for Notre Dame. to be the first team to score at plus 160. Is that enough?
Who's that? Say that again.
Notre Dame team to score first. Notre Dame is plus 160.
Oh, well.
Doesn't match with my.
Doesn't match with the line in the game, but I guess you know, I think you get a little bigger price than that.
Let's take a look at Jeremiah.
Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, let's keep it with the rushing.
Jeremiah Love. Well, we didn't do Notre Dame's quarterback, so let's stay with.
Yeah, so you want to go Jeremiah Smith?
Ohio State. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith.
Look at the two wide receivers here.
So Smith, his numbers are pretty close for the year. 5 receptions, 87 yards against the best competition, 5 for 83. Amazing. Texas did such a great job shutting him down. They're the only team all year that shut him down like that.
Wow.
Michigan did a decent job, 5 for 35, and Indiana did a good job, 3 for 34. So Notre Dame's got to keep him in check. Against the best teams again, 5 for 83. I left out the Tennessee game where he had the 2 big touchdowns, 6 for 103. He's going to get a touchdown. He scored a touchdown the first 7 games of the year. It's amazing. What's his receiving yardage?
His receiving yardage is 78.5.
So again, I lean to the over for Jeremiah Smith. It's not a big, there's not a big difference there when you're looking at 83 yards against the best competition and it's 78.5. How about Ibuka? He is 5 for 72 and a touchdown against the best competition.
Wow. And his number is 62.5.
So I think he's a little bit better of odds of getting there. I like his consistency over the last 5 games. 7 receptions, 4, 5, 5, 5, where Smith has been a little up and down, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 1. So a little more consistency out of Egbuka.
Yeah, and even Indiana there went to him more. He had 80 yards and 7 receptions. Michigan he had 51. So you're right, way more consistent. Yeah,
and we've got a 10-point difference there.
I think
10 yard difference there. So I do like that one a little bit better. All I have left is Notre Dame guys. I didn't get too deep into a lot of the players. So,
well, you did exactly the players we have offered here at the South Point. So we can go right down this list.
Riley Leonard. We'll go to the Notre Dame guys.
Yep.
And maybe it'll change my mind after, looking at these stats, but Ohio State, pretty good ones. Riley Leonard on the year, 16 for 24 against the best competition, 17 for 24. Does not throw it more, does not throw it less, throws it about the same every game. Notre Dame is very consistent. They're going to try to establish the run and run the football. 163 yards Leonard threw for on the year median, but against the best teams, 158. His best game of the year was Penn State. Against a really good team, threw for 223. He threw 2 picks in that game. And against the best teams, he's going to throw 1 touchdown and 1 interception.
I'm curious. I want to look back on how many of those yards were the second half, because that was a dead under game in the first half. So
it wasn't it?
Yes. Of those 223, that mostly was fourth quarter. So very interesting. So him to throw just over half a touchdown pass, over is minus 180, under is plus 160. His passing yards is 177.5, and no interceptions on here. We'll have to look though.
Yeah, I like the game over. He has gone over that number, 177.5 in 2 of the last 3 games, and that was Indiana, who's got a good defense. Georgia, he only threw for 90 yards, and then Penn State 223.
So leaning to the over there.
Yeah. And again, because I like the game over and I think they'll be trailing. So you've got to think about that as well. When you know they're going to be trailing, he's going to have to throw it a little bit more than he normally would like to.
That'll be interesting. All right, let's take a look at their, let's start with their running back, Jeremiah Love.
And we're hoping that he's 100% healthy. He did run the ball 11 times against Penn State, like I said, and now he's got time off. Against the best teams this year, He's 13 for 46.
Wow.
He hasn't had big games against the best competition. Now he did against Indiana because he had a big run, I think. He was 8 for 108 in that game. His best games of the year was Purdue, bad defense, Navy, kind of outsized, Virginia, who was bad all year, and Army, who's outsized. Against, he had 91 yards the first week against Texas A&M on the road. That's nice. Against Georgia Tech, 14 for 36. They shut him down. He had 99 against USC, 19 against Georgia, and I think that was the game maybe he got hurt, though. And then Penn State, he had 46 yards. I'm going to guesstimate. My guess on what he gets in this game, 52 yards.
It is 43.5, so you will be looking for that over. Very interesting. Louisville held him to 34 yards on 11 carries, 3.1 yards per carry. I mean, that's not a team where you think great defense.
No, there you think offense when you think of Louisville. That was at home. He's had some games. Like I said, he has had 5 100-yard games and had 99 against USC on the road. In a game where USC threw for 360 yards. So, and you look back when USC was throwing it everywhere, Riley Leonard threw for just 155 in that game. Notre Dame still stayed to the ground game.
Yeah.
So they're not going to, even if Ohio State's thrown it all over the place, their backup running back's very good. Darian Price. He's had over 700 rushing yards this year. He averages close to 7 yards a rush. He gets the ball in every game, and he's run the ball a little bit more as of late because of Love's health. But against Penn State, he got shut down. 7 for 13 yards.
Wow.
His median against the best competition, 8 for 44. Does not catch the ball out of the backfield. 3 receptions this year. Love's not going to catch it much. They don't throw much to him. They may throw a little bit more to him in this game, though.
You're bearing the lead here with Jeremiah Love.
What's that?
You're bearing the lead. He's scored in every single game but one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A rushing touchdown in every one except for against Georgia.
Georgia, right. Well, he's their back at the goal line. And what about their quarterback, Riley Leonard, rushing touchdowns? He gets a rushing touchdown every game, too, almost. He had 4 games out of the 15 that he didn't. He had a rushing touchdown in 11 games.
So I almost like his under for touchdown passes thrown at plus 160. Because, I mean, they can score twice, but they could be on the ground both times.
Right.
Him and Jeremiah Love. So I think that's.
Well, he did throw a touchdown in his last, 7-8 games in a row.
Wow.
Threw 2 at USC, 1 against Indiana, 1 against Georgia, and 1 against Penn State. So he is a favorite to throw a touchdown, but you're taking plus 160. But Price is good, 44 yards per game. What is Price's numbers? Do we have a number on him?
I do not have a number on Price. We'll have to.
Something to maybe look around at. But Jeremiah Love, if healthy, he could get more carries in this game. I could see him at getting that 13, 14 carries for the game. We didn't talk about Riley Leonard as a dual threat quarterback against the best competition, 12 rushes for 51 yards.
Yes, we did.
Do we have a rushing number for him?
No, I do not have a rushing number.
No rushing yards for Riley Leonard. That's something to look at. I guarantee it's around the 50 mark. That's what he does.
What did he do against Penn State rushing?
18 for 35. They did a good job of shutting him down. He didn't get any big runs. Remember, he had 80 against Georgia, but Georgia really focused on Jeremiah Love.
Right.
They shut him down. 6 carries for 19 yards. Price had 10 carries for 37 yards. So Georgia shut the running backs down. Penn State, they didn't do a bad job. The 2 running backs combined to go 18 for 59. So Penn State did a good job as well.
Let's take a look at Mitchell Evans for the wide receivers for Notre Dame. And then we still got to get to college basketball and hockey for the day.
The big tight end, 4 catches, 26 yards. I think he's going to get his 4 catches. They're going to look for him. And that's Riley Leonard's go-to guy on third and shorts. And he's going to make plays. So I think he gets at least 4. I'm not sure what his receiving numbers are. Doesn't get a lot of yardage, a lot of short passes.
So he is 32.5.
Is there receptions?
That is, no receptions, just receiving yards.
Receiving yards. I would look for something over, to go over like 3.5 with him. And then Greathouse, who came on against Penn State, 7 catches, 105 yards and a touchdown against the best teams, 3 for 26. So people remember what they saw last, but you need to do that because that connection is there, and maybe Riley Leonard will get a look for Jaden Greathouse quite a bit in this game. But I can't go much higher than that. I'll probably look to go under with him. Nothing
here at the South Point, but I'm sure you could shop around and look for some Greathouse as well. So just a couple other ones that I will just throw at you. Of course, there's the alternate total props, alternate spread. Will there be a defense or special teams touchdown?
Oh, depending what the price is.
Yes is plus 230.
And the no is, that's about right.
No is minus 270.
Yeah, that's about right. Maybe a little value laying the 270, but who wants to lay the 270? They're not supposed to get that in any game.
And then this is a great one, but it is pretty big price. Will there be a score in the final 2 minutes of the first half? Yes is minus 280, and no is plus 240.
Well, things have changed. I don't have those numbers on what they're supposed to be. Those are pretty standard props that the books know what the number's supposed to be. They've been taking bets on those for years. But things have changed this year now with the 2-minute timeout in college football. That gives a couple extra plays for the offenses. Yeah. So maybe one of these teams do score. Remember, I like it over. I think there'll be something scored early, I hope, and maybe scored late. So
score just means touchdown or field goal.
Yes.
Anything, right? Because we saw it happen in both of their last games. We saw it with Ohio State against Texas, and then Penn State backup quarterback drove them down the field, and they got a field goal.
Even a safety counts.
Even a safety.
Just score.
So for you like the full game. I do have a little bit of Ohio State minus 2 as well because I did some teasers over the weekend. You actually told me Chiefs go take Texans up to 14.5, take the Chiefs down, put that on a few teasers. So I did have that, and the Eagles down. And then now Ohio State too. And I have Notre Dame team total under 17.5. You're going over full. Would you go same game teaser in this? Well, we can now.
Yeah, I gave you a couple of those NFL games because I felt like the numbers were right there, and I hope people listen to what I was saying last week. Bet the Chiefs early because it's going to go up.
Yep.
And then get the best number you can. See if you can get a plus 10 on Houston. And if you were able to grab 9.5, you middle the game. And if you did the same thing with the Eagles, I said, bet them because they're going to go up. I laid 6, took back 7 for more. I ended up siding the game, which was nice.
Yeah.
So I didn't catch the middle. I didn't lay the 8 on the Chiefs. I wasn't even thinking about it. But if, for some reason I was thinking of, because the 8's not that middle there's not great numbers. 6 and 7 is much better. They're 2 of the key numbers. 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5 are not in that. You don't hear that coming out of somebody's mouth as key numbers. So that's why I laid the 6, but I should have laid the 8 knowing it was going to go up to maybe 10.
Yeah, that was very interesting with that Eagles game landing right there for people who, depending what side you had. We're going to take a 1-minute break. When we get back, we are going to rapid fire through our college basketball, check out your numbers, compare them to the sports book, and then we will go through some hockey. We have quite a few hockey games on the board as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 1 minute.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sports by the Book. If you are watching live, please jump in the chat. We'd love to know who is hanging out with us here today. I do have a list from Vince. Thank you so much, Vince. JR said, let's go Buckeyes. Bob Custer, by the way, happy belated birthday to JR. Bob Custer, all the pressure is on Ohio State. Dean Hilt jumping in there as well. Ann said, go Irish. Vince is in there. Appreciate all of you. And then I still have a note for Vicarious Vegas that we are going to talk more about money management, pizza money, and all of that sometime this week as well. So again, thank you all for joining us. If you are not in the chat, please subscribe. And in 5 minutes, you will be able to jump in the chat with us. And please like and share each of our shows that you join us on. All right, let's get to it. We've got some college hoops, and we do have some day games today. So we do need to get through a few of these that are about to start
we do have day basketball. That's good.
In 15 minutes here. So, yeah, let's get right to it. Starting off with William and Mary, NC Wilmington. Here at the South Point, we've got NC Wilmington 7-point favorite at home, total 155.
I'm in at 5.5 right there on the number, but I made the total 169. Like it over. William and Mary loves to run, Brian Earl. And the head coach for Wilmington Seidel, his reputation was as an offensive guru teacher, and his offense is way better than his defense. So you got two really good offenses, up-tempo pace. Let's go. Let's make some shots in this game, over 153.
Oh, you got over 153.
Oh, it's up to 155 now. Wow.
There are some 154.5s out there, so we could give you that for the board, but
I'll take one. Yeah, that may be one that makes the board.
Harvard, let's go to the Ivy League. 7-point favorite at home against Penn, total 140.5.
Revenge factor. Pennsylvania lost both games last year. I made this game 8.5, but make the adjustment down to 6. Right on the number, my total 136. I lean to the under, but I'll pass because it's just not a big enough difference.
Yale, 17-point favorite. Nope, 16.5. So you're getting a little bit better there. 16.5, total 153.
Another revenge factor. Dartmouth lost both games last year. Early in the season, though, like this, it's hard when you get these big of underdogs. That's always been my weaker bets, is betting on these big dogs because they're bad. They're a big underdog for a reason. So I'll just pass. I made the total 156. I lean to the over because the weaker team in Dartmouth likes to run. And Yale is extremely solid offensively. If they get into an up-tempo game, Yale could put up a big number here.
Lean to the over in that one. How about Princeton? Laying 7 at home against Columbia, total 154.
Columbia has revenge. They lost both games last year. Made the game 8. My adjustment's down to 5.5. I lean to Columbia. My total's 153. It's right there. The total in the books is 154. It's so hard for me to believe that a Princeton total could be 154. It's just their totals are 114, 115. But this year's team is running, and they're very, very good offensively. Both teams are extremely good offensively, but I can't go over that. It's just too high of a number.
Cornell 8 at home, total 155 against Brown.
These two, amazingly, Brown beat Cornell last year, the last time they played in this venue. So Cornell will be ready, but Brown's good. I think the number is right there. I made the side the same, 8.5. But the total, I have 164. Cornell plays as fast as anyone in the country, and they can score. I think their team total over is a good bet, and I think for the game to go over is a good bet.
Mark that one down. I do like that as well between Brown and Cornell. Drexel, 3-point favorite at home, total 124.
It's my under game. The numbers right there. These two teams split last year, but my total 113, and it's 124. As I said, the average college game is 144, so people like to revert back to the mean and think that, these games will go over. And both the teams trend to the under. Hofstra 11-5 under. Drexel 10-7 under. They both play extremely slow, and both teams play far better defense than they do offensively, and we're expecting a close game. So love it under.
New Mexico 21.5 at home against Fresno, total 162.
Fresno's not having a good year. Vance Wahlberg's the new head coach there. Vance Wahlberg is a offensive guru, and he's bringing an up-tempo, fun game to Fresno. They run and gun, and so does New Mexico. New Mexico actually plays faster than Fresno does, and New Mexico 6-5 over at home is not a great number, but they played some good defensive teams at home. Fresno doesn't play defense. Fresno 6-2 over. I made the total 175.5. I love that one over.
Wow. Villanova 9 at home, total 136.
You know, how many times have I said Ed Cooley and Georgetown? He is a really good head coach. He has home revenge from last year. I think his team's playing very good. Villanova plays slow. Cooley will probably end up slowing the game down. Cooley has the far better defense and the revenge. They lost both times last year. So I'm taking 9 with Georgetown in this one.
Georgetown +9. We did find a dog. I wonder if that makes it to the 12 o'clock show. How about Penn State 7.5, total 155.5?
I made the game 5 and 165. Up tempo. Both teams play extremely fast. Both teams very good offensively. Rutgers averages 76 a game, and Penn State 84 a game.
Wow.
So I like that one over the total.
Couple overs today for you. Our only road favorite here in Hampton, laying 2, total 145.5.
And Hampton's they've already played this year. Hampton won the first game at home. North Carolina A&T has yet to win a conference game. So I have nothing on the side. The total I made 144. It's right there as well. So I'll just pass.
Montana State 5.5, total 144.5.
I have 6 and 136.5. I've got an underplay there for you. I don't have anything to the right of my sheet. There's not very much red. There's not very much blue. Both, it's pretty neutral for both of these coaches. And the trend, Eastern Washington is 8-7 to the over. Montana State is 9-8 to the under. I just have to trust my number. And again, I'll be very conservative and bet a 1% play. You were talking about money management. And when I explained that, over all the years in the books that I've read, and the number crunchers and the big bettors and the small bettors and all those types, it all comes back to about 2.5% of your bankroll on a bet. So when you have $1,000 bankroll, you should be betting $25 straight plays. I bet more games than the average person, so I bet 1% plays mainly, and then 2% and 3%. So I'll bet 4 and 5% in a game if the number's that off, or if the sport is going that well. So my NFL bets are all 1% games. My college basketball games are so many of them, they're 1%, sometimes 2%. Women's college basketball, I'm betting 4%, 5% on games because the variance and the difference from my numbers to what the betting line is.
Because that sport is going well. One more here. Montana 5-point favorite, total 150.
I have 3.5 and 147. We can do some pucks.
Let's do some hockey. Did any of the extra games jump out to you?
Yeah, there was one total.
Okay.
2 totals, I guess. Florida A&M under. They're playing Mississippi Valley State, and it may be the 2 worst offensive teams in the country, and they both play very slow. Mississippi Valley State averages 50 points per game, and we're going under 137 in that game, and then there was an overplay.
Can you tell us what you made that total?
Yeah, 124.5.
Okay.
At a 13-point difference. And then the over was Bethune-Cookman hosting Arkansas Pine Bluff. I have 169.
Wow.
Pine Bluff loves to run, and they're horrible defensively.
See if Drew Dog can find that one. 306,671 on the extra board. Just 2 under. What about Lamar? Do you have a number for that one? They're a 4-point dog. Total 141.5. I believe that is Sean's team, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, you're right. He had been betting them. I have a Nickel State 5.5 and 130. So I do have a difference there. I have an under difference, and I don't have Again, a lot of neutral colors, a little more red than there is blue. The game before that, Mercyhurst and Long Island, I have 118.5. It was 126.5, so I have an 8-point difference to the under. Both teams have trended under, and there's a lot of red. Both teams play slow. Both teams really, really bad on the offensive end. So less possessions and bad offense.
Under that 126.5 for that one. Well, one of them did make the board for me. You had me at 2 worst offenses in the country here. So Mississippi Valley State and Florida A&M, I'm going to go under that 137. We have not graded your board from Wednesday, so unless we have, it's probably in the spreadsheet. I went 4-4 this weekend, 2-1 on Saturday, 2-3 yesterday. Thank goodness I did get that hockey under. You were talking about that, Detroit and Dallas.
Yep.
That was under 6. Eagles -1 was on there, teased, and then I had that Eagles-Rams under was pretty brutal. So that one and the Ravens were 2 losses for me.
I was trying to figure out my sheet. Looking at I knew Omaha won big. The Dayton game went under. Butler went over. They couldn't miss. And I think the Cleveland State game barely went over. It did. It landed 134. I was under 132. They scored 71 points in the second half. It was a blowout, an 18-point win. Did not expect that. So I was 2-2 on that.
2-2
board
on Wednesday. So, Vance, I'm sorry. I might need you to bring a tissue over here so we can. Oh, you're going on the other side. I'm
going to go on the other side.
Okay.
I don't want Vince moving around.
Okay, perfect. So he's got to keep up on our chat there. So let's go to some pucks here. How many do we have on the board? 9 games tonight?
Yeah, quite a bit. Busy schedule on the ice. And there's day games, too. You have day games. One starting at 10:07, San Jose at Boston. And this game right now, around Boston -230.
Is it weird? I do not like betting totals in day games. I feel like if you have an over, they usually start really slow. And if you have an under, they just come out firing. So this one, it looks like it's a lean to the under. Well, it moved down to 5.5 now. At 6 it was. We made it 5.5. But the Bruins, 210 here at the South Point. We've got it 256. They won 1 at home. They lost on the road. San Jose lost 2 in a row. I'll tell you how they did in their last 10, though. San Jose 3-7, and the Bruins are 3-5-2. So basically 3-7 as well. I think we can pass. Nothing here.
Yeah, they've been a bad team all year, San Jose, and they just continue to get worse, it looks like. Minnesota at the Wild. Minnesota is the Wild. At Colorado today. And that game starts at noon. The line, I want South Point openers here real quick.
Yeah.
Hockey, game 2. -230, hasn't moved. The total opens 6 down to 6 under 15.
I have a feeling you're going to like this one. So we've got Colorado -158. Minnesota has home revenge. They're on the road going to Colorado. They just lost at home to the Avs 6-1 on January 9th. So I think they will be ready for this one.
You can get plus 195. You maybe find a little bit higher if you shop around. Not much higher than that. 195 is a pretty good number if you're looking right now. So that's worth maybe a half a unit on that. Buffalo is at Seattle, 1:00 on the ice there in Seattle. And this number at the South Point opens Seattle $1.20. Hasn't moved, but there was action on the total. 6 under is now 5.5 over.
We've got Seattle -135. Now, the Kraken did beat the Sabres in Buffalo. So
revenge.
If we add a little revenge there, I think we're right there at that -120 total. Lean to the over here between these two. Let's take a look at their trends. Sabres are 14 in goals for, 3.02, 29th in goals against, and the Kraken 19th, though, struggled to score, 2.89 goals per game, and then the Kraken are 22nd in goals allowed. So a little bit of a lean to the over.
I think the team here at the South Point, Chris Andrews and team, shades to the over because I think they were the only 6 in the market. And that's why they were bet under, because someone said, hey, that looks odd. And that's what the South Point wanted. They wanted someone to bet them under there. So we'll see if we can get that to go over the total. St. Louis is here in Vegas taking on the Golden Knights. Golden Knights open $1.90. The line hasn't moved. 6 under to 6 under minus 25. I think you agree with that.
I do. I've got 5.5 under minus 120 between these two. Two good goalies. Let's take a look at Binnington. He's 12, 17, and 3 on the year, 2.83 goals against average, 8.99 save percentage. Aiden Hill, 18, 8, and 2 on the year, 2.56 goals against average, and a 903. Vegas has been struggling. They need to get right here against the Blues. This is the first of two, so now they will go to St. Louis after this game. So lean to Vegas, but I definitely like under 6.
Yeah, Vegas is 1-6, maybe something like that in their last 7 games. They have not played. They're on a 3-game losing streak. St. Louis has lost 3 in a row on the road, though, so it kind of cancels each other out. Columbus at the Islanders. And the Islanders opened up $1.70, bet up to 175, 6 under to 5.5 over. Again, this was another 6 that the South Point opened that was kind of by itself, and they got the under money, and now at 5.5. Do you like it over?
I do like it over. And even if you look at their medians, home and away, Columbus allows 4 goals median on the road, and the Islanders are 3 and 3. So that tells me we can get to those 6 goals, especially Columbus. I mean, they've been an over team all year. They're tied for 6 in goals for. They're 27th in goals against, so they give up an average of 3.35, but they can also score themselves. So I know the Islanders trends a little bit the other way, but I think over 5.5 is a great number.
Columbus's median total in every game they played this year on the road is 6.5. Very rarely do you get a 5.5 with the Columbus Blue Jackets because they're an offensive team. So we'll see there. Tampa at Toronto.
I'm going to add that one to the list really quick.
Tampa and Toronto here at the South Point. Toronto $1.15, bet up to 125, 6 over 15 up to 6 over a quarter. There's an over money here in this game as well.
All right, we're gonna have to add some in here because Tampa Bay is trying to avoid being swept this year. The Leafs have won both of the first 2 games. They won at home 5-2 October 21st, and then they won at Tampa Bay 5-3. So even though we have Toronto minus 140, would we add that in?
Yes, yeah.
Take that up a little bit.
Make it 116, and you have no play on the game. Right now, it looks like you'd have a play on Toronto. However, with that revenge factor, I don't blame you. There's going to be more motivation for Tampa to get even in the series.
And we do have a little bit of an overplay, but looking at their numbers, I don't love it. And I like both of these goalies in Vasilevsky and
Toronto's median score at home 3-2 doesn't lead well for overs.
No. So let's stay off of that one.
3 games left. Carolina at Chicago. Carolina opened $2.80 up to $3, total of 6.
So just like last year, Vegas loves the Canes. I can't get their power rating high enough. We've got them 215 on the road against Chicago. I think this is the first game this season. Blackhawks just 3-6-1 in their last 10 though, so they continue to struggle. The Canes are 5-5, 5-3-2 in their last 10. So nothing for us in this one. Total rate there too. I'm
willing to take the Blackhawks in this game. When you look at the median price on the year for both teams, on the road, Carolina's $1.50 favorite, and at home, Chicago is plus $1.50 favorite. And you're giving me a lot bigger price than that. You're giving me plus 250 with a team who's coming off a win. I know they haven't had a great year, but that could help them. So I think that's a big price. And again, for me, I'd be conservative and bet 0.5%.
Getting plus 250 there with the Chicago Blackhawks. Definitely have the better goalie on the other side, but Peter Mezrich has had some big upsets as well. So,
and the median score for both teams this year, 3-3. Carolina on the road's 3-3. Chicago at home, 3-3. So, maybe even a game that I would take a look at. Let me look at what's the puck price on that, because that may be the way to go is by.
You can take plus 1.5 minus 105.
So yeah, I don't have to lay a big price on that. Sides only. Is there even a better number out there? Even money maybe I could find on this game. I think I could probably find even money at one of my outs and take a 1.5 with Chicago that I think they'll be in this game. Winnipeg at
Would that
Utah.
be a 1 unit play and then a
1%? I still play a smaller 1%.
And then would you still put a little bit on for them to win outright?
Oh, yeah, maybe like at that point, pizza money, which would be, if you're betting normally, let's say $100 on a straight bet, $20 on the pizza money bet, the price of a pizza. Winnipeg at Utah. The Jets opened $1.35, have been bet up to $1.70, $1.65. 5.5 over 20 is now, or 5.5 over a quarter, is 5.5 over 20.
So lean to the over a little bit. We've got it 6 under. And then it's been all Winnipeg money, and I don't blame them. We've got a minus 160 on the road. They're number 1 right now in goals against. They're 3rd in goals for. And while Utah's not terrible, they have not been good at home. 7-11-4 on the season. So
at median score, they score 2 goals and allow 4 in their home games. And Winnipeg on the road's a much higher scoring team. They don't score at home. On the road, though, they score 4 goals and allow 3.
I like that Jets team total over. What do you think we'd get here at 5.5?
On the Jets, would it be 3? 3 over money?
Yeah.
3 over minus something. I like the game over, the 5.5. We need 6 goals. The Jets are playing to 7.
Yeah.
And their totals have been 6 all year long.
Oh, you do have Connor Hellebuck playing, though. 1.97 goals against average.
Maybe he's a little different on the road. I don't know what his splits are.
Yeah.
I know he's great at home. Not sure what the road games.
Well, yeah, and looking at those medians.
Yeah. Well,
3
goals per game the Jets are giving up on the road. And the last game, Pittsburgh at the Kings tonight. South Point opener, $1.85, currently at $1.80, 5.5 over 15.
Pittsburgh's been on a slide as of late, 2-5-3 in their last 10, and the Kings 6-4 in their last 10. But this is a very good home team. They are 14-2-1 this year at home. So we've got them a much bigger favorite than minus 180. I've got them 236.
9 straight home wins. They've won 9 in a row at home, and you just met 14-2-1.
14-2-1.
Yeah, they very comfortable on their home ice. So, and you mentioned Pittsburgh not playing well at this time, but it's tough to lay a puck and a half with the Kings, even with that great record. Their median score at home is 3-2.
Wow.
Yeah. Even with all of those wins, that's what they win by right there. So what that actually says to me, but you have the total 6 over or 6 under 17, and the total's only 5.5. I feel like it's Kings and under, like they're going to win 2-1, 3-2, 3-1, something like that.
You do? Even though Pittsburgh's median numbers?
Pittsburgh's median numbers are a lot higher. You're right. They allow 4 goals per game. So maybe it's just.
But I think that I was trying to look really quick because those last I saw, they're trying to trade or put Tristan Jarry on waiver.
Are they?
Yeah. So.
Well, he's not going tonight, so maybe they're looking to try to trade him or just waive him.
Yep.
If you're a parlay bettor, maybe it's a parlay tonight. You could parlay the first game on the board, the Bruins, because they're hosting San Jose, to the Kings. Yep. Just a money line parlay, Bruins to Kings.
I don't mind that at all. All right, so I've got my bets on my board. I think you still have to fill out yours. While you do that, I will remind everybody to please, in 2 hours, go to Punchlines FN with Frank Nicotero and myself. I will have to eat an onion today on the show for my loss to Frank. He had the Bills and I had the Ravens, so should be a lot of fun. But remember, 5 days a week, Punchlines at noon.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
You don't like onions at all. That's why the deal is the deal, but at least you might get an onion ring. So you're catching a break there.
Well, really, Frank kind of switched it up on us. We were trying to figure out what we were betting, and then he was like, what food do we all hate? And he knew I hated onions, but we decided on something else, so we'll see. We'll see. Anne's in charge. She said I could eat a blooming onion, so I might have to go to Outback. It's on Las Vegas Boulevard. Go get one of those.
I'll join you for that. All right, I'm trying to put a couple plays here together.
Well, actually, I'll never forget when I was young and we were eating at Outback and Grandpa did join us.
Yes.
And we had a bloomin' onion for the table, and then we went to order food, and That's what he got for his meal by himself, too, just a bloomin' onion.
Which is amazing because he never liked onions in his life.
It must be the only one. It's a little different, though.
All right, I have 4 plays. All totals. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I'll start mine first.
Yep.
Oh, you have your whiteboard already? Okay. Championship game tonight. Ohio State, Notre Dame over the 45.5. I like Cornell over 155. New Mexico, Fresno over 160.5. And then Florida A&M, I'm going under in that game, under 137.5.
Look good. I think I have mostly all totals as well. So I already have Notre Dame team total under 17.5. I gave that out on Saturday. I'm going Mississippi Valley State and Florida A&M under 137. I'm going with the Wild. We'll just go half a unit here, plus 195. Revenge game, Colorado and the Islanders. That's not right. Columbus and the Islanders. We're going over 5.5. And then Jets and Utah will go over 5.5 as well.
There you go.
Yeah, we've got quite a few overs today. You were right about the weekend, too. 3 of the 4. Well, 1 push, depending on the number, with the Ravens and the Bills.
You had to get that early. I won that over. I had my 2 biggest overs, both won pretty well.
Yeah.
Washington went over easily. That went over at halftime.
Did you know that was the
Did
highest
Detroit.
second scoring second quarter in playoff history? Yeah. Very interesting. So tomorrow we will break down the 2 NFL games. We'll do today's action as we always do, hockey, college basketball. So please join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. And Andrew Vince, thank you all so much for all your help. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow on Sports by the Book.